Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you were checking out my live stream earlier, probably this week, would have been yesterday actually, I was showing how I was planning to use some of these thinner coloring book pages, and here are some Stampin' Up! Ink pads and makeup sponges that I'm using to color up these pages. They are two-sided pages and they're very thin, and I just paid like $2 for them, but I thought they were really cute. These mushrooms I was attracted to, and that's why I bought this particular coloring book. And I thought it'd be so fun to sometimes use coloring books in my art to collage and that kind of thing. So here I am just decorating a few pieces that I think I'd like to use in these artist trading coins, artist trading cards, whatever you want to call them. And to make it fun little nature piece. So at this point, like, my camera is a bit blurry, so I need to replace it. I'm saving money for that, so hold on guys. If you want to help out with that, you guys can click on my Patreon at the end of the video. Every dollar helps get a little step closer to a nice new clear view. So now I'm cutting these out, and I am using a cardstock, and that's just like craft paper cardstock. Actually, it's a little better than craft paper. It's the not the dollar store, Michael's brand, so but the cheap ones. And I use that as my backing on a lot of my art cards and that kind of thing. And because these are really thin coloring book pages, I decided to back them up with that. The cardstock makes them nice and sturdy, and they look really good too. I do use some of, I do have to cut with a craft knife in between some of the little cherry stems, and it looks really great. I love doing that, taking that time just to do a little bit of, I would say, fussy cutting in with the craft knife, but it sure makes a difference in your little piece. Just that little time it takes to cut it out like that, it just makes it just that much better, I think, to spend that quality time. Now I'm just cutting out my circles. I just use that cap to draw out my circles. It's 2.5 inches across, and that's perfect size for the art coin. And I do have, oh, here I am painting. Sorry, here I am. I was just going to jump ahead and say something, the next step, but actually the next step is painting. So I grab a little bit of paints in the natural colors that I can find, blue, green, and a little bit of a chartreuse, and I believe like an olive green. And let's see, I'm just going to quickly look, and these are DecoArts avocado dip, and these are DecoArt colors. So I just use that kind of throughout, and then I kind of made I put a little bit of white on top too, and I used a stencil to do that as well, as just to make the colors go back again. Coming forward, they're all nice, kind of like bright, not really overly, and then they go back once you put a little bit of white, and it just takes your eye, I don't know, and makes it move around the card. Even though it's such a small card, it does actually make your eyes move around on the card more. This is the same cardstock thickness as the other black one that I used, but I decided to back it up with black again because I don't know, decided to do it this time, and then cut those out. But I left a little bit of a space around the coin of the black outline. I thought that was really cute and made my card pop. I'm kind of doing my placement, and then I ink with the script roller ink, which is from script roller stamp, which is from Stampin' Up, and I bought it about 5 or 6 years ago, so I do not know if it's in anymore, but I just bought this, and I thought I had I do have rollers with the roller handles, but they didn't fit, and I didn't want to buy another handle, so I just ended up putting it on the end of a brush, and it works fine, and I just kept it that way because that was the only one I was planning to buy. Stampin' Up at the time, and even now, is so expensive. I just didn't want to pay for it. I'm a cheapie. Here I'm just putting glue on my pieces, my little mushrooms, and I had glued the coin itself, but I'm adding a little glue because some of it's overlapping, which is my plan to kind of make it look natural, nature, fun, and overlap some of them. So I'm like, I didn't want to hang the cherries or whatever those are up above because mushrooms are on the ground, they're so low. So I'm like, okay, they fell. So I'm kind of trying to play with it. I wasn't thinking this all through, before, but now I'm like, okay, the cherries fell. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. I'm kind of placing them and having so much fun with it anyway. It doesn't matter if it makes sense, it just made sense to me. And here I'm not using an eraser on the back of my pencil, just so I didn't want to get any glue on this part yet or anything, and so I'm just being careful. I'm using the back of a paintbrush or the back of an eraser. I do actually pull a couple of leaves forward here onto this little mushroom, and just to make it, I don't know, cute. So I use my little X-Acto knife just to carefully pull that before it gets too hard on there and rip. And that is that. Because I wanted to use my paint pen after and I just wanted a certain look, I didn't want to get glue on top of these yet. My trusty old paint pen. This is from DecoArts. It's actually a window or glass writer actually for like cups or glasses, but I've been using it on my mixed media, like on my art, and I love it. Here I'm just coloring in with a little bit of a brown pencil crayon, a little bit more shading on those mushrooms because I didn't have much color on them with the ink. I didn't want to add too much. And then I grab a little bit more brown, just kind of tap it in underneath my little mushrooms there. And in the ground area I want to shade it up, but I didn't want to put black. I wanted to put like brown tone. So that's a chocolate chip color of the Stampin' Up! Stamps. Here I was going to write nature. Guess what? I ran out of teas. Oh my goodness. So I had to take them all off. I was like, oh no. This has been used too often. So I'm out of teas. Gotta take it off. Didn't even have one to get away with it. Then I was going to take this Thesaurus, and English Thesaurus, I have say that wrong, and put it on there. And then I'm like, no, it just doesn't look right. I mean, it's cute, but no. So I just wrote it in there with my marker, and that was it. Handwritten nature, printed it. I'm like, nah, I'll handwrite it, and just kind of winged it and didn't sweat it too much after this. I'm like, this is going to be crazy. I'm just going to handwrite it. There we go. And that's what I did. At this point, I'm just spraying it on, spraying some gloss, and that is it. I've really put some gloss on there. It is a spray adhesive that is not adhesive. Oh wow. I'm turning it over here. Sealer, spray sealer finish is gloss. And I hope you guys like it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of my coloring book artist trading cards. Talk to y'all soon. Bye bye.